In the series of the Winnipeg downtown, which is Portage and Maine, the first building that we will build will be from the kit of the Bailey Saving and Loans, kit cornerstone number 9333031. Now, this building is very, very close to the historical building in Winnipeg, the corner of Portage and Maine, on the southeast corner, which is now the Métis Heritage Center. Though some modification has to be made to the building. This wall have to be on the other side, and in the front of this building is a statue that's got to go there, that is First World War soldier, British soldier in combat uniforms. On the top here behind the ledge is a part also of the building that is there, that an insert in it, and which is full of window that will have to be done. So now, having have the kits, the first thing we look at is if all the part that is needed is there. I got all the windows here. Those window, when we get to it, I will show you a trick to they will not be clear window. They will be a window that a little bit like what you see in bathrooms, you know. There's no interior scene to be done on that building, but is electrical to be done. And some part of that electrical would be a little tricky, but we'll get to that later. And then we got here all the window frame and the doors. We got the little parts that are very important that goes in behind the corners in here. The steps and the roof. Now you notice there's two holes on the roof, and the reason why is two holes on the roof is I already took the measurement for the scratch built part of this building. Then we got the side, which regardless, in these two sides in here you can interpose them and it's no problem. On that side here, when that is done, connecting to this would be what is actually the MTS building, which is a pretty tall building that is connected right beside that bank. So that's why that wall has to be to the right and this one to the left. And then we got the front, that the original building in Portage and Maine has got two more columns. But for the sake of the layout here and the reproductions, I will leave it to 4 columns, you know, using a modular license in here. Though on the top here, on these 3 parts there, would be a light shining down. So the lights have to be brought in between that space here and through that wall behind, which you will not see. So I will use in there 1.5 or 2 millimeters LED lights, white, to go in there. And the back wall in there, I probably will close the bottom windows. Reason being is that there's another building that's very close to it. Now, the first thing that is done when I do a building like this, or any building for that matter, I paint the back black. Reason why I paint the back black in all my buildings some corrections to be made, which will be done as we assemble it. We adjust the black in there. All the parts are painted black in the inside. The reason for that is when I put the lighting, is no glow. The building do not glow. The lights only will come out through what you want it to come out, which is the windows and that type of thing. Next to this now we'll be painting that building with 3 different shades of gray, starting with the lighter gray, and then I will add a little bit darker the gray and recoat it with that, but not perfectly. And the third coat will be a darker gray again that would be applied, but not really in a perfect manner. The first gray itself, the light one, might be 2 or 3 coats on it, very light coat, not thick coat. But the other one would probably be just about 1 small coat here and there, and so on. And that is to project the impressions of the age of the buildings. The building, especially on this side here, is look very dark. It doesn't look as maintained as the front is, Now, the front in here would be done exactly the same way, though that in that space in here we'll have, I hope I can engrave it, Bank of Montreal like it is on the actual building. The columns would be the color and the shade of the second gray that I will apply. Now all the gray will be applied with airbrush. So I will go and start the painting in and show you the progress as we go along. Well, there we go. We got all the parts here that have been painted with 3 different tones of gray with the airbrush. Some touch-up will be done on the columns. Now we got the back of the building, and we got the front of the building, and that goes over top of it like this. So that's why the columns will have a little bit of white weathering, so that they kind of pop. And at the same time, I scratch built what goes on the roof. Now you can see all the window. It's been painted the same as the rest with 3 shades of gray. So the roof was painted too. Now it will be weathered in consequence of the building. And that will sit on the roof like this. So now we'll go and do the trimming of the windows as far as paint is concerned. I don't think I have to show you that methods because it's been shown many times. It will be done with a sponge, and all the window frames and the window frames for that little building. And then after that we start to think about assembly and electrical in the building, and that is for the first building in the series of Portage and Maine in Winnipeg downtown. That most of the building there will be scratch built. So we'll do that and get back. And now with the windows, the treatment for the window is you need a sponge, you need the paint, and what I use on that is a decor art acrylic paint, as you can see in here, and it is burnt umber. The only effect I want to create with the paint is just like a peeling. So I take that and I just dab it over top of the window. You do not try to be, you don't want to fill all the space. Got another window here. So you make sure that your sponge and doing the door. Now, this is the effect that you have, if you can see it, right, of the doors and the window. Originally they were dark gray. I did not change the color on this specific model. I left the color the way it was. I just used the burnt umber to create the idea that the window were kind of peeling. Now, the other part of the window that is to consider, that is the way the window come in the kit. They're clear and they're hard plastic. Cornerstone does a lot of them. Now, this is the finish that I want for the specific project. Like I said before, is no interior scene inside of that building, but I still want to have some light effects coming out from the window. So to do that, I want to put the window where you don't have to put any paint on it. So to do that, I take a piece of sanding paper, which is, in this case, it's an 80 grit, and I scratch the window. You want to scratch it thoroughly, because you don't want to have a clear piece in the middle of your window. And voila! Now you have the window that is frosted window. Now, you repeat that on every window. Now, some buildings, some scene where I will frost some window and the other I will leave clear, depending on what kind of interior scene I put inside of the building. Also, some windows in some of the building that I want to completely have absolutely no light coming out of it, I will tape it and paint it black, so they will have they will look really much so like a mirrors, but black. And that would be the extent of it. So now we'll put the window into the frame, and we'll put the window into the model itself on the piece, and assemble the model. This building was built in 1913 in Winnipeg. I got the front and the principal side and the cupola in here done. Now the roof of the cupola has got to be painted darker. Bank of Montreal has to be engraved in here, and 1913 in here. Now we'll turn that around and show you. Now in there you got the 4 white lights that are there. All the wires and the resistors are covered up, but here, right there, is the three lights that are underneath in here that remain to be connected at the proper place. The power strip that you see in there, which is copper tape, will keep on going on the side of this building here, the side here that goes there, and then down to the base of the layout. Now the outside light in here and the inside light will not be on the same circuit, they will be separate. What we do not see in there is underneath here, there and there is three lights that are reflecting up to light up the cupola that we got in there. Now you notice the building is all black on the inside. So that is the way that I assembled each one of those buildings, which is a little bit unusual. Now you will say, where's the base? Well, the base, I put it away. That was the original base for this building. I do not need that base because on the scene in Winnipeg, the sidewalk and the street and so on were already being made in consequence of the building. So I will finish the connection of the lights and finish the assembly of the building itself and put the front step in here. I got here, they got to be painted, and that would be the finishing of that building. The roof itself here will have to be treated. More than likely I will use on this instance sanding paper that I will weathered. I will put the cupola roof darker as it is on the photo of the actual building. So let's take a pause and finish this. Here's now the building. Technically it's finished, the exceptions of a little more gray on the top here of the edge and darkening up the roof and putting the sandpaper on the bottom. Now as far as the light effect is concerned, let me shut off the lights here for a second. This is the front of the building with the three lights that are on the alcove, and this is the effect that you got with the window after you sand them out like I did. So they all frosted, you got just enough light, the light is coming out from where it should be, and you probably don't notice, yeah, now you will, the yellow that you see in there are the yellow light inside of the cupola. You can distinguish them probably a little more now, if you can see that in the camera, all the lights here from the cupola. So this is conclude the first installment in the series for the Portage and Main buildings in downtown Winnipeg, which is the Bank of Montreal, which was built in 1913 and now is the Métis Federation Heritage Center. So keep watching. For the second installment we'll probably do the MTS building that come on this side of the building here, and we'll be using for that one some electroluminescent wires, and we'll be doing a lot of scratch build because that building is not a kit. So happy modeling.